Welcome to the first FilmSoc table read session in collaboration with Writers Room. All the following scripts are written and performed by Writers Room members. We hope you enjoy. Midnight by Devon.
Black. Thunder rumbles, rain thrashes. Water sloshes angrily. Fade in. Exterior, bridge across the river, night. A storm rages above the countryside. The air thick with rain. The river runs full and fast, swollen into rapids, white waves crashing between the concrete embankments. On the top of them sits a thin path, hugging the riverbank as it snakes under a small stone bridge. A figure, dressed in a thick trench coat, stands on the path, sheltered under a bridge, his face illuminated by a struggling cigarette. Adrian, 42, tired, weathered, scowling. He looks at his watch, midnight exactly.
You're early.
You're late.
He turns. Michael, 38, also in a trench coat, steps out in the rain and under the bridge.
I half expected you not to show.
Why's that?
You seemed reluctant over the phone.
Just careful. Business is business.
When business is murder, I guess I can allow taking things slow.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
As long as the deed is done and the payment is met, then we can both walk away from this happy.
Let's get to it then.
A beat. Thunder rumbles above. Then,
Who do you want me to kill?
Kill.
both faces twist in confusion.
You what?
What did you say?
Who do I want to kill?
Yeah?
What does that mean?
What do you think it means?
So you don't mind?
Well, I wouldn't be a great assassin if I only chose people I didn't like.
Wait, what? You're an assassin?
Yeah?
Then why do you need me?
For the target.
Who?
The target.
Who is the target?
You tell me.
I don't know.
You haven't decided yet?
Decided what?
The target.
There's no decision. I've already agreed to kill them. I just need you to just to know their name.
You don't know their name.
Not yet.
Well, couldn't we have had this meeting when you found out?
This meeting is me finding out.
There's someone else coming.
Coming where?
Here, to the meeting.
Who?
I don't know.
A stranger?
Michael looks around, brings out a pistol from his coat.
That better not be a Bobby.
Did you say, is this a setup?
A what?
Adrian brings out his own pistol, points it at Michael.
You trying to take me in?
I'm not with the police.
Then why do you have a gun?
How else would I do it?
Do what?
Kill people.
What? You some kind of assassin?
Yes! That's why you hired me.
But I didn't hire you. You hired... Wait, just stop.
You're pulling out?
Stop.
A beat. The two men stand off in the rain.
You're an assassin.
Yes.
And I'm an assassin.
Apparently so.
And you hired me to kill someone.
No, you hired me.
Right, okay. But if I didn't hire you and you didn't hire me, then who hired us?
Well, whoever he is, he should be here by now. I chose the time and the meeting point.
No, it was me who chose the time and the meeting point.
But if you chose the meeting point and I chose the meeting point, maybe we're hired by different guys.
Jim?
Michael shakes his head.
Tony?
Adrian does too.
And they both didn't show.
He definitely said meet here.
Under the bridge, half a mile west of Linsford. You?
Just down from where Palace Jones, the Derwent, under the bridge.
A beat.
There is another bridge just upriver, isn't there?
Yeah, but there's nowhere to stand beneath that one. Path ends.
I thought that old wooden walkway was still up.
That can barely hold together with one person walking across, let alone...
He stops. A beat. The two men peer upstream. A faint shouting sounds, rising, louder, closer, coming from up the river. They look down to see two bodies splashing, flailing, screaming for help, viciously caught in the strong currents. The bodies are swept down the river and into the night. The two men turn back to each other.
Who was yours?
Just some guy wanting to kill his old boss for firing him over some private disagreement. Yours?
Man who wanted to kill an ex-employee for sleeping with his wife.
Right.
Right.
They glance down the river again.
Should we?
Nah.
A beat.
Guess that's pretty much sorted then.
It certainly looks so.
They tuck their pistols back into their jackets.
You got plans this evening?
Nothing much.
A beat.
Pub?
Pub.
Side by side, the two men walk away. Fade out.
Extract of Hacks by Joe Molander.
Black screen. The following quote fades in white text. In reporting, you have to be certain of everything. Fade in beneath. Matte glass. Fade in next to matte glass. Comma, probably. Quote fades away. Audio of a chip shop after a night out fades in. Young Stephen has a posh accent. Titles. Hacks in white text over black screen.
You acted so unprofessionally at the 9 a.m. this morning.
Be fair, I was drunk.
Young Stephen laughs.
You don't know what drunk is.
Cut to. Exterior, outside a chip shop, night. Young Stephen and young Bill, both in their early 20s. Young Bill slim and young Stephen thick set, stand outside a brightly illuminated chip shop, both in tuxedos after a night out. They're drunk. Young Bill is holding a trophy, which for now is out of the frame.
Of course I do. There's a lot of shouting and someone punches you.
On screen flashes up, 1995.
No, that's what being you is.
So you're sober?
1995 vanishes.
If I was sober, could I do this?
Young Stephen vomits.
This is the Pentagon Papers. It's Watergate all over again. We could really shake things up.
We did shake things up. The Whitewater scandal. They're calling it scandal. It's not just us using that word. It's also the Guardian, Indie, Standard.
Don't say newspaper names without the.
Why not?
It makes them all sound like second-rate nightclubs, and you're not really meant to get flashbacks until the morning after.
Beat.
Oh, screw it. We got the scoop of the year.
Exactly. This will be big for you.
And you.
You wrote the articles. The traffic on the, what do you call it, website was all you?
Young Bill lifts the trophy into view.
I'm not journalist of the year.
Okay. You got me. I'm amazing.
Exactly. Now let's get back in there and show off this sophisticated journalist. You okay?
Yep. Just if my eyes focus on anything, I'll vomit.
You're not going to.
Young Bill vomits. And while his head is ducked, young Stephen starts vomiting. They both resurface. Young Bill puts a hand on young Stephen's shoulder.
Ready?
Mentally, no. But physically, I'm quite...
Young Stephen vomits again. Young Bill and young Stephen go into the chip shop. Just before they enter, young Bill puts his arm around young Stephen. Cut to interior chip shop continuous. Young Stephen and young Bill enter, where a group of a dozen other journalists, all in tuxedos, are waiting.
Here he is.
Crowd cheer. 3 cheers for Stevie Boy. The crowd cheer 3 times. Then they start singing a loud song. We don't hear any other audio than this. Young Stephen starts talking to a young woman, Angela, who looks uncomfortable. Young Stephen puts his arms around her waist, but she pushes him away and walks out the chip shop upset. The song shifts into booing, then cries of, "Bitch, yeah, go home." From the corner of the room, Stephen, in his mid-50s, sits on his work desk, phone in hand, but lowered a few inches from his face. Stephen looks back on himself from 25 years ago. Young Stephen looks out the chip shop window, eyes following Angela as she leaves. Stephen looks at young Stephen. Stephen puts his phone back to his ear and turns to face the wall. Cut to interior office day. Open plan news office, men and women in suits, phones ringing, people walking about, bustling. Stephen finishes turning his head, still at his desk in the open plan office, talking into the phone, sounding bored out of his mind.
Really, the department increased spending, even though you've seen a memo that said it wouldn't increase spending. Yes, I'm looking at the memo right here.
Stephen picks up a random piece of paper and shakes it about to make noise.
and it really is.
Stephen coughs loudly as he throws it in the bin.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you for faxing it to us. It really caused a stir at the office.
On screen flashes up 2020.
Well, for one thing, we've got to bring out a fax machine. Some of the younger lads put a mug under it and waited for cappuccino.
2020 vanishes.
We haven't got a big scoop out of the old girl since Bill Clinton was elected as governor of Arkansas in 1979. No, of course I'm taking this seriously. An increase in department spending of 3%. It's mind-blowing. Sorry, percentage points as a share of total government spending, of course. Statistics aren't a joke. On that we are completely agreed. Sorry, Mrs. Gray, I think there's a connectivity issue. No, I can hear you fine. That's the issue.
Stephen puts the phone down. From the other corner of the room, the four men laugh obnoxiously. Stephen turns to look at them. One of them, Bill, is telling a lewd anecdote and makes a sign for two huge breasts with his hands. The others love it. Stephen turns to look at his desk. There's a photo of him shaking hands with David Cameron, a photo of Stephen and Asma on their wedding day, and most prominent, a picture of him holding the front page of the Telegraph with the headline, "Revealed, President Linked to Fraud." Stephen sighs and looks at his laptop, where he has a Word document open that's totally blank except for the title, "Revealed, Minister Linked to Marginal Spending Increase Year on Year." Stephen types a bit more. The title now reads, "Revealed, Minister Linked to Marginal Spending Increase Year on Year," and other things that I plan to mention in my suicide notes.
Another whistleblower?
Stephen looks up. Anne, in her late 20s, is sat opposite Stephen.
Sorry?
Were you dealing with another whistleblower? I heard you on the phone.
In here, of all of the phones in private education.
Hard not to hear you.
Oh, she was all right, just a bit odd. Wanted to throw away 20 years at the DWP over some budgetary issue. I can see why whistleblowers die alone. I thought they were meant to be interesting.
Come on, Ed Snowden blew the whistle to stop surveillance, and now look.
No, there are a massive amount of surveillance.
I know, but TV's really good.
Only because they've not run out of serial killers yet. Wait until the Netflix documentary about the budget of the Department of Work and Pensions.
I'm Anne.
Anne leans over to take Stephen's hand.
Steve.
In Cronkite, I'm aware. Your reputation precedes you.
Well, then I desperately hope you don't believe everything you hear.
I was told you had a bit of that.
A bit of what?
Bill and his friends laugh loudly. Anne points to Bill.
Who's he?
Bill, the one-man argument for bringing back castration.
He said my arse was a 6 out of 10, but my arse attitude was a 9.
What's an arse attitude?
I was too scared to ask. I think he has an arse attitude.
Stephen laughs. The four men continue laughing.
It's like the Me Too movement never happened to him.
Cut back to Anne.
No, a man who isn't self-aware.
Come on, it's not all of us.
Thank God, we can all stop being feminists.
That's not what I meant.
But you're not doing anything about it.
Anne points at Bill, who is humping the water cooler while his friends laugh. Stephen looks at Anne in horror. He points to Bill.
You want me to?
No.
And chuckles.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a delight to be around.
You're going to fit right in.
I'm glad. You guys do nothing but serious journalism, right?
Oh, don't. Last week, Harvey nearly got me to do an article on how World War II could have been predicted from Winston Churchill's star sign.
I am currently ranking members of Mao Zedong's cabinet based on how woke they are. I win misery top trumps.
Jesus, no, I'm not running with it. I'd rather run with a horny tiger behind me.
Stephen sees Harvey, a heavy-set in his late 50s, approaching.
Speaking of which...
Stephen looks at Harvey with a huge fake smile.
Harvey, just as I was having a conversation with a human being.
Hello, Stephen. How's life in the open plan office?
It's making me plan openly to quit journalism forever.
Brilliant. I need to do an interview.
Who? Not another civil servant. They're like talking to a brick wall, if bricks were made of tweed.
You should be so lucky. You're talking to Noah Farrell.
Who?
The artist.
An artist?
What's wrong with an artist?
Artists are like dogs in that they make a lot of noise and it's inexplicably bad form to shoot one.
It's all right to neuter them, though.
Stephen laughs, which makes Harvey notice Anne.
Oh, hello. We haven't been properly introduced. How's your first day going?
Stephen looks at Anne.
It's about to get a lot worse.
My day's going fine. Harvey Harrod, right?
Anne extends her hand to shake Harvey's. Harvey takes it and kisses it.
Harvey, leave her alone. This is one person in the building who hasn't had to smell your cologne.
Anne pulls her hand away and smells it.
The smell of desperation.
As desperate as your CV?
I'm serious. Play nice. She's the one writing your bullshit articles.
You're serious?
Harvey pulls up a chair, edging himself an inch away from Stephen's face.
I'm sure there used to be a time where that mattered, Stephen. I really am.
I was just saying,
Any call from your wife lately?
if you bring my
What?
Beat.
nothing,
Good.
V starts to stand up but sits down again and points a finger at Stephen.
My bullshit articles are what keeps this thing afloat. People don't want to hear how shit things are all the time. They already know.
Beat. Anne looks on, concerned. Harvey pulls the chair away and stands up.
Now, our artist won the Turner Prize last year and fancies himself a political commentator. It's why I'm sending you.
fine. Is there an email chain you can BDSM me in?
Irina by Ewa Zwonarz.
Note: the story takes place in Russia, and all spoken dialogue is in Russian. Interior: Irina's bedroom, morning. Irina, 17, a pretty young Russian girl, is lying in her bed, masturbating. On the wall behind her is a sprawling collage of supermodels, with her head affixed to their bodies. On her desk is a stack of fashion magazines and 2 dictionaries, English and French. Her duvet is moving, and the girl is lost in sexual reverie. Someone knocks at the door. Irina is startled and stops.
Time to get up. Breakfast is ready.
I need a moment.
Hurry up. We'll be late for church.
I don't think I can go.
Grandmother, 65, a heavy-set woman with a handkerchief on her head, opens the door and enters Irina's room.
What do you mean you can't go?
I feel sick. I think I have a fever.
Grandmother approaches her and puts her hand on Irina's forehead.
Yes, you're warm.
And I have a sore throat, and I couldn't sleep all night.
Grandmother sits on the edge of Irina's bed.
Open your mouth.
Irina opens and tilts it towards her grandmother. The woman presses on Irina's neck.
You say it hurts?
Mm-hmm.
Irina nods.
I'll call the doctor.
Don't. I mean, not now. Maybe later?
I'm just trying to protect you. You know you are everything to me.
I'll be okay. I just need to sleep.
Fair enough. Stay home and rest up. Do a rosary.
Grandmother kisses Irina's forehead, gets up and walks to the door.
I'll be back as soon as the service is over.
Irina nods again and grandmother leaves Irina's room. Irina looks at her phone, a missed call from Boris.
What's your timing?
She bites her nail, waiting for a reply.
1 hour.
30 minutes.
I'll try.
Interior, living room, moments later. Irina walks out of her bedroom on her tiptoes.
Grandma?
No answer. Irina pauses by a shelf with 3 photographs in a frame. A man, a woman, and a young girl. There's also a newspaper clipping. Family killed in a car crash. They leave behind an orphan, Irina Lebedev, and her grandmother, Jania. Next to the pictures is a bouquet of flowers and a candle burning. Irina looks at the flame and blows out the candle. Bathroom, moments later. Irina in the shower, brushing her teeth quickly. Interior, Irina's bedroom, moments later. With a towel wrapped around her body, Irina pulls out a packed suitcase from under her bed and quickly adds a few items. Her toothbrush, a makeup bag, and an Ellie magazine. She zips it up. She reaches under her mattress and finds an envelope. Inside it is her passport, some money, a letter from Elite Models' ticket to Paris, There's also a sheet which Irina practices her grandmother's signature to put on documents. Flashback. Interior kitchen evening. Irina is upset. She's sitting at a table opposite her grandmother, her cheeks wet from tears, arms wrung at her chest.
What were you thinking? Of course I won't let you. You're not even an adult.
Modeling starts early. You want me to wait until I'm old and wrinkly?
This is not a career for you. It will ruin your life.
You're ruining mine right now.
Grandmother reaches for Irina's hands. The girl is resisting.
You're the only person I have left. I have to protect you.
By imprisoning me?
It's for your own good, trust me.
End flashback. Interior, bathroom, morning. Irina burns the signature sheet in the toilet and flushes it. Interior, Irina's bedroom, moments later. Irina puts the envelope in her purse. She puts on her clothes, jeans and a sweater, and checks her phone.
Where are you?
Almost there.
Did you leave already?
Almost.
Almost?
Don't worry, Don. I'm a fast driver.
Interior, kitchen, moments later. There's breakfast on the table and a rosary. Irina sits down at the table and eats the sandwich and drinks the milk. She looks at the clock and checks her phone. No new messages. She washes the dishes and puts them away. She approaches the window and caresses the flowers on the sill. She takes the rosary and walks into the living room. Interior, living room, moments later. Irina stands before the 3 pictures, holding the rosary and praying.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
A tear falls down her cheek. Her phone rings. It's Boris. She answers the phone.
I'm here.
She places the rosary next to the pictures and rushes out. Exterior, Irina's driveway, moments later. Boris, 28, a scruffy man with a round shaved head, puts Irina's luggage in the trunk of his Dodge Charger. He's wearing a grey sweatshirt and a thin gold chain.
You're late.
I came as quickly as I could. Here, give me a kiss.
Boris puts his arms around Irina. She pushes him away.
You're drunk.
And you're a nag.
Why did you have to drink? You know how important this is to me.
What do you want me to do? I should be sleeping now. Instead, I'm doing you a favor.
Irina hesitates. She looks at him, biting her fingernail.
What?
Nothing.
You going or what?
You don't know.
You better make up your mind quickly. Your plane leaves in 2.5 hours.
Irina looks at the house, then at Boris. He opens up his arms in a now what gesture. Irina enters Boris's car. Interior, exterior, Boris's car, moments later. Boris is driving down the main road behind a slow truck. The car radio is on, playing the newest pop hits.
Hey, don't be nervous. We'll make it on time. Promise.
Boris hits the gas and passes the truck, barely missing an oncoming car.
Please don't speed.
Please don't tell me how to drive.
He takes out a pack of cigarettes, offers one to Irina, but she declines.
Don't be mad. It makes you look ugly. So, you're gonna be a model.
That's the plan?
Do that. And send me pictures so that I can brag about you here.
Laughing, Boris puts a hand on Irina's leg. Irina pushes his hand away. Boris swerves off his lane.
Watch the road, Boris.
Boris corrects his car.
Sorry. When are you going to tell your grandma?
After I get there.
What if she sends people after you, huh? What you gonna do? Gangster grandma.
Stop it. She won't. Unless you help her.
I won't. Don't worry.
In that case, she won't know what to do. Her only option will be to accept it.
What will you tell her? When you talk to her, I mean.
That I need to go. She has no right keeping me away from my dreams.
She did that because you're the only person she has left. Gotta understand Grammy's heart. It's soft and hard at the same time.
Would you please shut up? I'm sick of hearing that I'm the only person she has left. It's a lot of pressure, you know?
Well, it's true that you're the only person she has left. I mean, kidding, don't fret.
Then stop talking.
You know I'm happy to support you. You don't have to be mean. There's only one condition. My acts of kindness have a limit, you know?
What limit?
When you come back, you have to promise to be my girlfriend.
Boris!
Boris almost hits an oncoming car.
Boris!
His car begins to swerve, and the next oncoming car hits them head-on. Blackout. Interior, Irina's bedroom, day. Irina's eyelids begin to flutter open. She's lying in her bed. Her face is bruised and there's a large cut on her neck. She opens her eyes. One of them is swollen. She slowly sits up. She's wearing white pajamas and her left arm is in a cast. Irina stands up, holding onto the wall. She wobbles out of the bedroom. Interior, living room. Moments later, Irina sees her grandmother sweeping outside. She looks at the picture shelf. Her picture has been added to the other three. On the table, a dozen candles burn. Interior, Irina's bedroom, moments later. Irina tears down the pictures of the models on her wall until her nails bleed. Her grandmother enters the room. She grabs Irina and sits her on the bed. Irina's wails grow louder.
So sorry.
No, I'm sorry, and so grateful that you're alive.
Irina and grandmother embrace.
And Boris?
Irina peels away and looks at her grandmother. The woman looks solemn and shakes her head.
I'm sorry.
It's all my fault.
No, it's not. I shouldn't have kept you. Then you wouldn't have to run away.
Grandmother takes Irina's hand and opens it. She puts the rosary inside Irina's palm and closes it.
You had angels watching over you.
Grandmother then reaches into her apron and takes out an envelope.
I have a letter for you. It's from Paris.
She opens Irina's second hand and places a letter into it.
I don't care. Look at me.
Read it when you're ready.
Grandmother leaves Irina's room. Irina looks at the envelope. She opens it. Inside is a long letter and a new ticket to Paris. The end.
Extract of A Death Worth Living by Emily Garner.
Interior, small bedroom, day. Leah, late 20s, muscular build, wears a plain, loose-fitting clothing, hair braided, a lanyard around her neck. Confused, she observes her unfamiliar surroundings. She is laying on a bed in a small bedroom, one window. It's raining.
How are you feeling?
Leah suddenly notices Ruth, mid-late 30s, sitting on a second bed opposite, knitting. Her appearance is untidy.
Bit fuzzy? That's normal during your first couple of days. They call me Ruth. Do you know your name?
Leah shakes her head. Ruth walks over to Leah and reaches for the lanyard around Leah's neck. She flinches.
I just need to see your identification ticket. May I?
Ruth reads Leah's lanyard.
Ah, here we go. Your name is Leah.
Leah?
Her throat is scratchy.
Yes. Ruth? Leah.
Leah.
Mm-hmm.
How did I get here?
The same way as everyone else.
Where exactly? Where am I?
Leah, you're dead. Welcome to heaven.
Interior, food hall, day. Leah, escorted by Ruth, walk into the communal dining area, each holding a tray of food. People are sat in small groups, talking and eating.
How did I die?
I don't know, Leah.
Why can't I remember?
I don't think you're supposed to remember. I'm sure it's done as some sort of a coping method. It's normal to be confused. I'll help you settle in as quickly as possible.
I'm really dead?
You hungry?
Jacob, late 20s, and Abigail, early 20s, are sat together, empty chairs opposite them. Leah and Ruth approach.
Hey, who's this?
This is Leah. Leah, this is Jacob and Abigail.
Please.
Jacob motions for them to join. They take a seat opposite.
How are you feeling?
Fuzzy.
That's understandable. Food will definitely help.
Ruth starts eating, but Leah is hesitant to eat at first.
Everything we eat comes from the gardens and the farm. It's usually pretty good.
It's always good. This is heaven.
I'm dead. Why do I need to eat?
Ruth focuses on her food, smiling to herself.
In the beginning, we didn't eat, but that didn't work out too well. There was disruption. People thought they were more godlike than they really were. So this is God's way of keeping us grounded, reminding us that we're human.
Plus, you tend to miss the taste after a while.
Leah begins to eat.
How are you settling in so far?
She's been here for less than a day.
Just trying to make conversation. I was actually wondering when I get to meet you. You're helping me in the vegetable garden tomorrow.
Lucky.
Preservations, that's what we call the daily duties. Maintenance work, upkeep, you know.
Gardening or tending to the animals is by far the best. If you're stuck on washing up duty, then you know you've done something wrong for the big man.
Gardening is when you put food into the ground and help it grow. Like those carrots you're eating.
I know.
She knows. We said you'd start remembering things soon.
Where do we grow vegetables?
In the ground.
No, I mean,
I know what you meant. The garden is near the south wall. I'll let you meet outside your room and take you there tomorrow, if you'd like.
okay.
It's a date.
Ruth?
You're not usually this quick to entertain the new ones.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unwavering.
Abigail starts to get up from the table.
Excuse me, I have stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail pulls on her jacket.
Ugh, I hate cleanse days. Nice to meet you, Leah.
Abigail leaves, taking her food tray with her.
Cleanse days are when the water falls outside. It helps wash away our sins.
Oh,
I think you're going to love it here.
Exterior Gardens Day. Leah and Jacob are kneeling, digging up carrots in the garden and collecting them in buckets. Leah has settled in.
I like your eyes.
you do?
Jacob nods.
What color are they?
You don't remember?
Well, it's not like there are any mirrors around there.
You're right, of course. They're dark, like the earth.
Leah picks up some soil in her hand, mesmerized, feeling it. She looks back up at Jacob and smiles.
How old are you?
I don't know how old I was when well, you know. Age doesn't really matter anymore.
Well, how long have you been?
Dead?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that doesn't bother you?
What do you mean?
A pause.
What do you mean by that?
I guess I'm still a bit confused about everything.
Oh, I understand. You're really settling in, though. I'm going to take these to the compost. You all right taking those to the kitchen?
Of course.
Until we meet again.
Leah laughs and goes to dig out the last carrot with her tool. She accidentally cuts her hand and hisses in pain, inspecting her cut. She stares at it for a moment. Picking up the bucket of carrots, she rushes off to the kitchen. Interior kitchen day. Leah runs her hand under the water but hears a hushed conversation at the other end of the kitchen. She turns off the tap to listen. Ruth and three unfamiliar people, Naomi, Isaac and Daniel, wearing kitchen aprons, are huddled in quiet conversation.
So you've all had one at some point.
Collective agreement from the group.
Then it can't be a coincidence. Naomi, I saw children, 2 of them, and I have marks on my stomach, so I know they must be mine.
Yes, and I was climbing a mountain when some rocks fell. Look.
Isaac pulls his collar to the side to show the large group a scar on his collarbone.
So they're real.
I told you, the dreams are from when we were alive.
You have to tell the others.
Can't. What? There must be some reason we're not supposed to remember. Well, who cares? We know about it now.
Maybe Ruth's right. If other people have had them, why haven't they come forward?
It might be too dangerous. Dangerous? Yeah, we should keep quiet for now. Wait until...
Leah accidentally knocks over the bucket of carrots and she's forced out into the open to quickly gather them up. The group abruptly straighten and turn to face Leah. Serious expressions.
Oh, sorry.
Leah,
Hi, Ruth. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
how long have you been there?
What? I was just in the garden and I cut myself with the...
It's probably an eye.
I didn't hear anything. I've got to go. I've got to get back.
Ruth.
I trust her.
Leah hurriedly leaves the kitchen, bucket of carrots gripped tightly. Interior small bedroom night. Ruth and Leah in their room. In a bed. The lamp is still on.
About earlier.
Yes?
I want to remember.
Ruth is quiet. Leah sits up in bed.
That's what you were talking about, right? You remembered before.
Some of it.
That woman said she had children. Then they must be still alive if they're not here. What if I have children? What do you dream about?
I used to run a lot. I see lots of mountains and trees and I just run through them.
You don't have very athletic legs.
Ruth laughs.
And sometimes I see other women, my friends. But listen, Leo,
Ruth sits up.
we know they're lying to us. We just can't work out why. Just don't go spreading this about.
I'll get in trouble?
The eyes work for God. They see something, they report back. He likes to keep out the way.
A pause.
What if we're not actually dead?
What?
I've noticed things. People keep telling me I'm confused, but why do they work so hard to keep us inside the wall? What's outside the wall? Earlier was bleeding, but we're dead, so why do we have blood? Where are the old people, the dead children?
Come to our meeting tomorrow morning before preservations. Same place.
Really?
Yes, but don't.
There is a loud knock at the door, and Abigail peers into the room.
Good night.
Ruth quickly switches off the light and settles into bed. Leah copies.
Night.
Abigail closes the door. A pause.
Is Abigail one of them?
Yes, she's actually seen God, meets with him.
Oh.
Ruth and Leah go to sleep. Blurry images of Leah's past form of dreams. Cuddled up on the sofa watching a movie with a man's hand rubbing her arm. A second dream, lying on her stomach wearing a military uniform, her face covered in mud. She wears a wedding ring in both dreams.
Alexander by Andrew Orvis.
Interior, bedroom, night. Alex, late 20s, raises his right arm and points a handgun at Xander, late 20s, standing across from him.
Why shouldn't I pull this trigger?
The boy stands motionless in the unkept bedroom. The ceiling light between them is dull, the gun prominently illuminated while the rest of the room regresses into grey.
Speak!
I'm scared.
Why?
I don't want to die.
Why?
Because
Because what?
Xander looks down at his feet, slightly hunched over. Alex glares up at him, the gun unwavering, although motions slightly as he speaks.
You really are pathetic. Nothing in your life has gone your way. You've amounted to nothing.
I'm still young. Things could turn around.
When? At what point will this suddenly get better?
It might.
It might. When? How? Who is going to support you? Nobody cares about garbage.
Mum loves me.
Xander breathes slow but deeply. He shifts, he slowly rocks.
He does love me. You're being unfair, Alex.
She abandoned you.
She only did what she thought was best for me.
She never stopped Dad from...
Xander's eyes meet Alex's.
What could she have done? You saw what he did to her. Killing me now would only prove his words true.
So? His words already ring true. You really are a pathetic pushover. Maybe killing you will teach that fuck a lesson.
Alex takes an aggressive step forward, jabbing the gun in the air. Xander stumbles back slightly, now leaning against the desk behind him. He notices the cat toy by the door.
Who will feed Bingo if I'm gone?
Bingo is a cat. He'll survive.
You'll be lonely.
A cat, Xander. Is he really worth the pain of living?
The gun begins to shake. Xander fidgets with objects on the desk.
You're in pain. You're tired and done. I can end it right here. All of it.
If I died now, I wouldn't get to finish the book I'm reading.
Is that really worth the pain?
Stop, Alex.
Xander wipes his eyes. His mouth trembles half open, trying to speak. His hand still near his cheek shakes. He pauses, takes a deep breath, wears a weak smile. He takes a step forward, away from the desk, and looks to Alex with a scoff.
You really are pathetic.
Xander pauses again. He hesitates to find the right words. His eyes drift, his hand shakes, then clenches.
Your view on life is so feeble, so abstract. Maybe if you just took a step back, smell the roses, as they say.
What good will roses do you when you can barely get by on your shit salary from a shit dead-end job that sucks the shit soul out of you?
Alex jabs the gun in the air aggressively. His hand shakes and his eyes are wet. They glare at each other. Xander takes another breath. His voice slowly becomes more clear and pronounced.
Even living just to watch the sun rise is still a better alternative to death.
Bullshit.
The smells from bakeries when you head out in the morning, a stranger's baby smiling at you while you wait for a bus, the taste of the watermelon on a hot summer day.
Temporary joys at best, Xander.
Xander slowly begins to approach Alex, his voice becoming more stubborn and more pronounced. Tears run down both the men's faces. The gun shakes ever more in Alex's hands.
Listening to the music in your bed on a Friday night, knowing you don't have to set an alarm for tomorrow. Reading a book at the seaside.
Stop.
Alex stumbles back slightly.
Laying on the couch under a blanket, watching the flames in the fireplace on a cold winter morning.
No.
Xander stops, the gun pressed against his chest, pushing in Alex's arm slightly. Alex glares at him, wide eyes, tears running down his cheeks.
You remember what old man Richard next door said? I know you do, Alex.
Alex remains silent. Xander forces a weak chuckle. He takes a step back from the gun and rubs his thumb on his trembling, smiling lips.
We hated the way he'd ramble on for hours, unloading story after story about his misfortunes in life. But that one time he stopped. And what did he say when he looked at us?
Xander gestures for a response. Alex looks away.
Life is fun.
And it stinks to know that I'm getting close to the end, because the whole thing's just been so damn fun.
Xander becomes more expressive in his body language, shifting his weight between his feet. Alex appears stunned, his gun hand slightly bent.
I hate this world. It won't stop pushing me even when I'm down. I live in a constant state of pain. I wake up each morning just to go back to sleep.
But yet, we still have hope.
Meow. Cut to. A cat rubs against a set of legs. Alex sits on the side of his bed alone. The cat sits at his feet. He lowers the handgun from against the side of his head and begins to pet the cat.
Extract of The Adventures of Al by David Foster.
Interior, Al's house, morning. A pair of slippered feet walk across a lino floor. They belong to Al, a bald, grey, mustachioed man, clothed in a dressing gown and not much else. He potters about his somewhat fancy kitchen, making breakfast. Toast pops out of his fancy toaster, and he is about to put a fancy butter knife into fancy butter. He stops, hearing something. Suddenly, the kitchen door blows open. The window is smashed as an armed squadron of goons surround him. They have him. Al takes a breath, raises his hands. A coy smile spreads across his face as he turns towards them. He grabs the nozzle pointed closer to him, pushes its aim towards another armed goon. Bam, bam, bam. He goes down, and with a swift elbow he takes out the one holding the gun. With lightning reflexes, Al blocks the punch of a third goon, strikes him in the stomach, followed with an uppercut across the chin. With superhuman strength, Al throws him across the room. A fourth armed goon pulls out his knife and lunges at Al, who sidesteps, turns in and grabs the wrist of the attacker. He karate chops the knife out of the goon's hand and throws his head back, catching the goon's nose and spraying him back. In the same motion, Al reaches forwards and grabs the fancy butter knife, picking up and turning to see Olivia, 19 emo type, standing in the doorway with a card and a wrapped box. Al stops, embarrassed. The kitchen is pristine, and all seems to lack unconscious bodies.
Bloody hell, what are you doing here?
Morning to you, Granddad, and happy birthday.
How much of that did you see?
All of it?
Exterior, Al's front garden, sometime later. Olivia is hugging Al goodbye. They separate and she walks down the path as she waves.
Are you sure you don't want anything brought in?
I'm perfectly capable of buying milk, thank you.
It's not you I don't trust, Granddad.
Hey, I was a secret agent for 30 years, remember?
Al winks and Olivia giggles before she walks through the gates. Olivia joins her girlfriend and they kiss in greeting. Al looks slightly bemused for a moment, then shrugs his shoulders and goes back inside. Interior, main hallway, day continuous. Al walks past a set of framed movie posters hanging on his wall. There are 9 of them, covering 30 years of movies. They all look very similar, advertising Jack Sharp adventures as they depict Al as the hero, with a pistol in one hand and a leading lady on the other. Al Jack is astute and remains with every poster as he gets older, whilst the leading ladies remain the same age. Interior, Al's landing, a little later. Al climbs his stairs, clutching the banister on every step, feeling his advanced years weighing on him. When he gets to the top, he has to catch his breath. There's a knock at the front door. Al sighs and turns around, grabbing the banister again. Interior, Al's living room, evening. Al sits, whiskey in hand, watching the news on TV. Entertainment news starts and the banner reads, Jack Sharp, actor, quits role. Al takes notice and turns up the volume.
Cameron McCrae has left the role, citing creative differences after 4 movies in the Jack Sharp series. The franchise, started in 1971, depicts a British secret agent during the Cold War.
Ungrateful little bugger.
The telephone rings.
Hello?
The caller is a loud man with an American accent, but a real larger-than-life voice that is immediately endearing.
Al, happy birthday, pal.
Carlton? Crikey, how long has it been?
In the flesh. How the hell are you?
Old, cranky, and I make noises when I move.
Nonsense, you're a stallion.
I saw the news. Looks like your creation is getting trod on.
Silver linings, buddy. How about a birthday present from your old producer, buddy? There's only one man I have ever wanted for this role, and it's you, big guy.
Me? Well, aren't I, a little over the sell-by date?
No way, Jose. We have a table read coming up May 7th at the office. You got 6 weeks to get yourself ready and get there. If you want it, of course.
Of course.
Then be there or be square, Mr. Sharp.
Al's phone slides onto his hand. He slowly stands, and then...
Yes!
A montage of events. Interior, Al's house, morning. A calendar is marked on every date up till April 2nd. May 29th is circled and labelled as table read. Al is at his stairs. He climbs them gingerly and then descends slowly. He turns and then starts to do it again. In the bathroom, he begins shaving his stubble, leaving only the moustache. In the kitchen, Al butters his toast and is about to take a bite before deciding against it and binning it. The calendar is marked April 18th. At his front door, he puts on trainers and opens the door to reveal a very rainy day. He grabs an umbrella and walks out into it. Al is at his stairs again, ascending and descending more confidently. The calendar is marked to May 1st. In the kitchen, he prepares a breakfast of fruit. In the bathroom, he is dyeing his moustache a deep black. In the hallway, the front door opens and he jogs in before removing his trainers. The calendar is marked to May 25th and labelled as doctor's appointment. Cut to interior GP surgery, May. Al is wearing a jet black toupee and an unhealthy amount of fake tan. But other than that, he is dressed in the quintessential gentleman in a turtleneck and suit. He's also in sunglasses, despite being indoors. Al sits opposite his doctor, a bold, mustachioed man with a stony face.
This is a very bad idea.
Nonsense, I'm fit as a fiddle. I could run rings around a man half my age.
Man half your age is pushing for...
The doctor stands and begins taking Al's blood pressure.
Don't say it. Look, if I hadn't stopped playing Jack Sharp, I wouldn't be having a need of you.
Of course, because acute angina has a tendency to avoid movie stars.
The doctor stops for a moment, checks the dial again, and then sits.
Well?
Oh, what the hell, it's mostly computers now anyway.
Al jumps to his feet and shakes the doctor's hand, smiling. He then walks to the door and limps slightly through it. Interior, Ion Productions office reception, day. Al walks into the reception of the production office, again dressed exquisitely. He nods to the secretary, Brenda, who is taking a call. Brenda tries to wave Al back, but it's too late. He puts both hands onto each handle of the double doors and pulls back to reveal interior, Ion production officers, day continuous. The table reads, has no space left at the table. Each production role is labelled on the table and has their respective person sitting behind it. Behind the nameplate marked Jack Sharp is Cameron McCraig. The producer, Kenneth DeMarco, stands. The room falls silent.
Al! We're all rather surprised to see you here.
Kenneth glares at Brenda, who is catching up.
Sorry, I was on the...
Guys, everyone, well, this is the read-through. I was,
Oh, God.
Kenneth gets up and walks over to Al. I suppose it's like looking in a mirror, eh? Everyone laughs.
Al, we're all very busy here, so maybe a cup of tea and call someone?
Kenneth grabs Al by the arm and he pulls away sharply.
I'm not senile, you prick.
An uncomfortable shifting amongst the room.
I got the call. I trained up and, well, I was invited here, wasn't I? Tell them.
He looks around the room. Carlton isn't there. Invited by who?
Carlton Williams, the writer, the creator. He's producing.
Carlton Williams? I invited you over morning breakfast, did he?
More laughter. Al is completely flustered. A slamming sounds as hands hit wood. Everyone stops and looks. Cameron is standing. In case you had all forgotten, everyone in this room, including me, has a job because of this man. You'd all do well to remember that. Cameron approaches Al and Kenneth. Come on, let's have a quick catch-up.
We have a read-through in case you hadn't noticed.
I noticed it about 12 million ago. They turn and leave.
12 million? You're getting 12 million?
Interior, Glendale Nursing Home, later that day. Al looks across the room at Carlton. His enigmatic voice and laughter seems too much for a somewhat frail man in a wheelchair sipping tea. Al is accompanied by a nurse, Wendy, who watches over the other residents of this retirement home. There are a dozen patrons playing cards, watching TV, dozing, etc.
What happened to him?
What happens to everyone? Age?
But the phone call.
Alzheimer's. To him, he was calling you on your birthday, and he always would.
Is it,
Alzheimer's is a condition you die with, not from. But there is a suggestion that his memory might be stimulated with something familiar.
May I?
Wendy nods and leaves Al, who's beginning to walk slowly across the room. Carlton looks up and sees him.
Al, there he is. How are you, buddy?
Carlton Williams in the flesh.
Hey, I have a surprise for you.
Carlton reaches by his chair and pulls up a tattered and old copy of a bound screenplay. The title reads The Adventures of Jack Sharp, Secret Agent by Carlton Williams. It's marked with Final Draft, 1st of the 4th, 1970.
There's only man I have in mind for this, and he's right here.
I'm flattered.
Al sits and the conversation becomes quiet as they begin to read through the scripts. Interior, Glendale Nursing Home, reception desk, dusk. Al is leaving the care home, tired but coherent. A nurse stops him on his way out. She gives him a pamphlet which reads, Consider Glendale for your twilight years. He scowls at her, takes off his toupee. He gives the nurse that in return. Exterior, suburban street, evening. Al walks down the streets alone, contemplating his day. He enters a convenience store. Interior, convenience store, a few minutes later. Al, distracted, picks up a pint of milk from the fridge. He takes it to the counter. Beside the door, a hooded man is standing, almost on lookout. There are a few others in the shop, beside the counter, and the shopkeeper is realizing something is amiss. The other shoppers wait in the queue ahead of Al. Suddenly, the hoodies spring into action. Door hoodie holds the door shut. Two hoodies stand either side of the counter, pointing guns at the shopkeeper, and the last of them, the head hoodie, starts threatening the queue.
Get your cash out. Give it to me.
The shoppers panic and comply, pulling out their wallets as the cash register is emptied. The head hoodie walks up to the queue, grabbing their possessions. He gets to Al.
Give me your wallet, old man.
We'll go off.
Two hoodies notice and advance on Al. He is surrounded. The hoodie slaps the meal out of Al's hand, spilling it, and shoves Al towards the others. One points his gun at Al, who raises his hands.
I said, give me your money.
And I said, bugger off.
He grabs the gun pointed closest to him, pushes its aim towards Hoodie 2. Click, click, click. Nothing, it's fake. With a sigh, he grabs the nearest spray can and fires at his eyes. He screams and goes down. Al, with an elbow, staggers the one holding the gun. Al punches him and knocks the hoodie free out of the fight. With semi-lightning reflexes, Al blocks the punch of the head hoodie and strikes him in the groin, forcing him back. Head hoodie pulls out his knife and lunges at Al, who sidesteps, turns in and grabs the wrist of the attacker. He karate chops the wrist, holding the knife. It does nothing, and there is a moment of confusion as both Al and head hoodie are bemused. Instead, Al throws his head back, catching him on the nose and causing head hoodie to stumble back onto the spilled milk. He slips and falls. Al turns towards the door hoodie and beckons him to join in. He looks at his fallen friends and scarpers instead. Al looks around as the other shoppers begin to get to their feet. Blue flashing lights start to reflect around the room, and the shoppers begin to applaud. Fade to interior Glendale Nursing Home, morning. A nurse brings the morning papers to Carlton, who is drinking his coffee. He opens it and takes one look and cheers. On the double-page spread, Alistair Jones is Jack Sharp. The headline is accompanied by security camera stills of the incident and quotes from the witnesses. Cameron McCraig's house at the same time. Cameron is also reading the same newspaper. He smiles and thinks for a moment. He picks up his phone and dials. Interior, Ion Production office, same time. A phone rings. Brenda picks it up. She calls for Kenneth, who takes the phone. Interior, Al's house, morning. Al sits, watching his morning television and pouring milk into a cup of tea. The phone rings. He picks it up.
Extract of Chronicles by Devon Yun.
Black. Slurring voices, clinking tankards. A fire crackling. Fade in. Interior, tavern, night. The room bustles with life. Weary soldiers drink and bellow, sloshing ale as they toast and cheer, while squires and barmaids scurry between, laughing along as they top up drinks and sneak their own. One sits at the edge of the group, Al-Alhad, 45, dressed finer than the other soldiers with an air of authority, their leader sipping his drink, careful and vigilant, and something's caught his eye. Across the room, a man sits alone, watching him. Eyes only glints beneath a dark hood, a cloak that hides all but his shadowed face and black boots. A barmaid staggers over and slouches behind Al-Alhad.
Looks like you've got some catching up to do.
Al-Alhad ignores her, still watching the hooded man.
Don't tell me the great Lord Alahard can't hold his drink.
Someone's got to make sure the men get back to the tents. We'll leave at first light.
Suit yourself.
That man over there, who is he?
Some farmer, most likely. Don't mind him. He won't bother you. There's far better ways to spend your night than staring at him down.
Al-Alhad ignores her, shifts, uneasy. The hooded man staring.
I can see myself as a princess, you know, living up in a tower, looking over my kingdom, just like your niece. It's the back one that's hers, right? The tallest one?
Al-Alhad nods, barely paying attention.
What's it like in the tower?
Why is he staring at me?
Trick of the light. You see, I've always wanted to look down from that window, see the city from above.
A faint sound of waves. One window now shows a sunset, a shining shoreline and a city beneath. The rest remain dark. Al-Alhad ignores, attention still set on the hooded man.
What's it like?
Alalhard's hand reaches to his side, no sword.
Hey, you there. You got a problem?
No response. Alalhard stands.
I told you not to mind him.
I'm talking to you.
He takes a step forward. The barmaid puts a hand on his arm.
Love, you don't need to.
Alalhard looks down, tears his arm away, and strides forward.
Who are you?
He looks up to silence. The hooded man is gone, the soldiers too, and the squires and barmaids. Tables, chairs, drinks, all abandoned. The tavern is empty.
What the?
He turns back to the barmaid to see the hooded man holding a small black pearl, which he throws forward onto the floor, and bang, the blast launches Alalhard off his feet. He crashes into the table, falls to the floor. The hooded man is running towards the door. Alalhard pulls himself up, starts his pursuit. The hooded man throws the door open, runs out. Alalhard grabs a bar stool, breaks it over the bar, then, holding the leg, charges after him, out the door and onto interior, the western tower staircase, dusk. Stone steps, stone walls, the inside of a tower, faintly lapping waves outside, and footfalls echoing above. Alalhard runs up the stairs, making chase. He hears a soft, young, feminine voice.
Please take me with you.
And then his own voice too.
I'm sorry, Cass, your father has spoken.
What does he know?
More than you. When the time comes, I'll take you past the mountains, let you see the rest of the world.
Alalhard stumbles, steadies himself, carries on.
When the time comes?
When it's safe. You'll understand one day, I promise.
He reaches the top of the staircase, a small room with a thick oak door swinging shut. He runs to it, flings it open, and steps into exterior, swampy battlefield, day, a foot of sludge. Soldiers surround, once shining armor now muddied and blooded, as they desperately try to form ranks against a lumbering onslaught of corpses, standing, walking, snarling, an army of the dead. Among them, figures herd them on, dotted face paints, some in bone-like armor plates, fighting with spears tipped with black glass, some dressed in robes hurling blasts of force as they flick their arms in whip-like motions. Alalhard looks down at the muds and sees he's now dressed in armor too, mudded and blooded, just like the soldiers around him, still holding a bar stool leg. Beside, a soldier sits, guts in his arms, shouting to him.
Captain, help me! Gods, help me!
Alalhard, now 25, starts to kneel, then sees a missed battle, the hooded man looking around, confused, then spots Alalhard and breaks into a run, fleeing. A quick comforting hand on the dying soldier's shoulder, and Alalhard pursues. Around, battle wages. Corpses push forward, soldiers falling back down into the trench. In the distance, a scaled shadow shrieks across the sky, unleashing flames onto the ground. A corpse lumbers forward in front of Alalhard. He slices it aside, the bar stool leg now long slaughtered. One of the robed figures runs forward, battle cry ringing, and bang explodes, fire and force consuming them. Alalhard stumbles, shields his face, pushes on. The hooded man weaves in and out of sight. Alalhard pushes forward fast and trips, falls down into the mud, twists around just as a corpse drops down onto him, teeth gnashing. Face inch from Alalhard's, though it's not one face, it's two halves of two different faces, bolted together with jagged shards of metal, skin sewn with stitches. Alalhard screams, shoves the corpse away, stumbles up and down into the trench, running after the hooded man. Towards the edge of the battle, soldiers beginning to thin. The trench twists around a corner hidden. Alalhard rounds it to find a void. The surface of mud is sliced open, peeled back like paper to a bottomless drop down forever into a deep purple emptiness. Alalhard stares, a rustle behind him. He turns to see. The hooded man stands behind him. In his hand, he holds a tiny black blade, dripping with strands of purple. The hooded man shoves Alalhard, and he falls back down into the purple void. Down, down, faster, faster, aging as he falls. The tear of light above him shrinking back into oblivion as, smashed to, interior, military tent, night. Alalhard, 45 again, sits up in his cot, panting, wide eyes, reaching for the sword beside him. In another cot, Cecil, 21, scrawny yet strong, hair close cut, sleeps soundly. Across the tent, the cloth door flaps shut. Al-Alhard's hand finds the hilt, and he charges to the opening. Al-Alhard bursts into the night, and the camp is quiet, still. Campfires burn low. The night watch talks softly. No hooded figures, no shambling corpses, no threats. Al-Alhard loosens his grip on the sword. His breath slows. Behind, Cecil exits the tent, joins him.
Just another dream. Go back to bed, Cecil. I'm okay now.
The war again?
I think so. All's well. To bed with you.
Cecil nods respectably, ducks back into the tent. Al-Alhard looks back towards the bushes, still unsure. He starts to duck back into the tent and then sees it in the mud, a fresh boot print. Fade to black.